Hey folks, it's Sam, and I'm making this video today about the month of August 2024 Vedic astrology forecast. The month of August, we have some big things coming. Of course, you see this is the chart of August 1st, and I'll be using calendar from my friend Casey Scott, who put together his 2024 calendar. You want to check that out. And I'll also be showing some of the upcoming forecasts in the member site. There is a more detailed, comprehensive member forecast that all the members get. And as you can see here, in the members forecast, I also have outer planets in Vedic astrology. I have the new moon in Cancer is coming up, which I'll be talking about, the August 2024 detailed forecast, as well as the regular month weekly forecast. So I'll be talking about some of those things as well. But for now, just stay tuned and check this video out. Please like the video. Clicking like helps a lot more than you know. It pushes the video higher in relevant video searches. Also, please leave a nice comment. Comments also help more than you know as it raises the video in searches. Many times with hundreds of likes, there are only a dozen comments and they can be disproportionately negative. So be positive. Let me know if you like this. Even just a few words really helps. So subscribe, ring the bell to get notified of upcoming videos. Yeah, it definitely helps. And as you see, I have here, I did just upload outer planets in Vedic astrology to the Oracle 5D members. And I did this because we have big shifts now with the outer planets in Vedic astrology, particularly Uranus and Pluto. I'm going to be doing some more videos about that very soon. They're used in a very specific way in Vedic astrology, and I do that. But again, we also have the new moon in Cancer is coming up very soon, and whatnot, as well as the detailed August 2024 forecast for members at the examiner level, which is only $9.99 per month. But so as you see, we start off the month with this, for example, we have this Mars-Jupiter conjunction here. And again, with the outer planets, we also have the planet Uranus is there, which I don't usually talk about, but it's incredibly significant right now. Again, I'm going to be doing a very detailed update about that here very soon. But, and I already did talk about it a little bit recently, but so we start with this Mars, Jupiter, and Taurus. Again, it's showing this convergence of our ideals and principles, which is Jupiter, with the desire to fight for them, which is Mars, and in the sign of Taurus, which is to preserve our values, value system. So these things are very big. Again, the sun starts off in the sign of Cancer. Again, the sun will move into Leo in the middle of the month. Mercury starts, Venus, Mercury both are in Leo here at the beginning of August. And they are, the sign of Leo is about, a sort of dramatic, powerful nature. Again, Leo is ruled by the sun, so we're always wanting to feel that empowerment. It's that sort of dignified expression in the highest sense, but it can also be somewhat self-indulgent, self-aggrandizing. And again, so these big Leo themes are there. Of course, we have Rahu and Ketu are still in the nodal axis, where Ketu is in Virgo and Rahu is in Pisces. You can see the sun is getting closer to the next eclipse. I'm going to be doing some updates on that as well. And the recent politics is showing these things also, not just politics in the US, but in the world. Again, big shifts happening. And then we also start with Saturn here in Aquarius, which is where he's been, right? So that shows in the, beginning of August. That's where we're starting. And of course, Saturn in Aquarius is that focus on our collective consciousness, you might say. This is why there's a lot of political, social recalibrating and committing and thinking happening right now. So as we say here, and we do start the month, things are pretty stable here. All of these placements are where they are. But then as you see, the moon is getting close to the sun here. The moon starts off in Gemini, and then it moves, by the time we reach the 4th, that's August 4th, we have this new moon, and it's in Aslesha Nakshatra. And of course, Aslesha Nakshatra is also important, when we get into the Vedic, understanding. the nakshatras show that deeper core essence. The zodiac is built upon the nakshatras, 27 portions of space, and then the zodiac signs align with them, right? So again, I'll be doing a detailed forecast on the new moon in Cancer, but I'll also, as I said, for the members, they will also get a new moon in Cancer for each of the 12 signs, and I'll be doing that actually in the next couple of days. I'll be doing that actually tomorrow, or no, it'll be on the 31st. This says the 30th. It's actually the 31st, and so I'll be doing that tomorrow. If you're watching this on the 30th or the 31st, I do that new moon in Cancer for all 12 signs at the examiner level, which is the same level that you can get the detailed August forecast. So again, this is what the memberships are about. But aside from that, I will be doing a dedicated new moon forecast as well. But again, when we have the new moons, this is a reset. So this is the Cancer cycle where we're examining our emotions, our sense of devotion and purpose. That'll be on August 4th. So again, if you're Scorpio, that's your 9th house cycle. If you're Virgo, that's your 11th house. So that's what the detailed forecasts show. Then we have Mercury-Venus conjunction, like very close, almost exact conjunction, happens in August 7th. That's when they really come together. Mercury is slowing down. He's going to go retrograde. But we have that Mercury-Venus conjunction in on August 7th. But as you see, the whole month, Mercury and Venus are joined, but they come very close together around the 7th. And so, of course, this really nails that conjunction. Mercury and Venus share a lot in common, which are about relationship, communication, cooperation. But again, they're both in Leo. So again, it's not always the most cooperative sign because it's about our individuality. So be careful of getting a little fired up around not feeling appreciated and wanting to sort of exact some, appreciation. Or again, it's the sign of Leo tends to interrupt that function where we want to cooperate, we want to communicate, but then it's like we get fiery and sort of polarized. Now, again, Mercury's about to turn retrograde. There's a little error here on the calendar. It happens. So it says Mercury retrograde in Cancer. It's actually when Mercury goes retrograde on the 21st. It's actually in Leo, and then it goes back into Cancer. This means Mercury goes retrograde, and it means that it retrogrades back into Cancer. Sorry, that's a mistake. I mean, that's correct. Sorry. And I forgot to mention here, on the same day that we have the new moon in Cancer, we also have Mercury retrograde beginning. So again, this is a big day here on August 4th. We have the new moon in Cancer, and we have Mercury retrograde begins, right? So they both happen on the 4th. And this Mercury retrograding back into Cancer happens on the 21st. But so again, here on the 7th, they come together very closely. So Mercury goes back over Venus, retrograding back over. And so again, this is a time where we could have some real communication because they're going to cross with Mercury going retrograde. So again, then we hit the next, the following week, we have like the exact Mars-Jupiter conjunction in Taurus. So again, Mars and Jupiter are in Taurus now, but we see that exact conjunction. And when things get exact, they get very fired up. Now, again, Taurus is a pretty subdued sign, but it still shows where when Mars and Jupiter come together, we're fighting for that fighting for those principles to advance, right? So again, we could see some real fired up changes here happen, especially, obviously we see these things externally, but in your life as well, you can really notice it. So we could certainly have some fiery political things happen. By the way, with the former president, this is his 10th house. So we might see a big shift happen. By the way, I'm not going to predict this, but I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a big change in one way or another around the Mars-Jupiter conjunction. For example, I'm just going to float it out there. This VP pick wasn't a very good idea. I wouldn't be surprised if he even changed it around this time. And it might even be a smart decision for him. But let's see what happens. But expect some big shift, some explosive philosophical change around August 14th or so, right? Because Mars-Jupiter conjunction in Taurus. Now, again, in your life, you're already experiencing this as well, where you're being challenged to really fight for and defend and be disciplined about your teachings and putting them into practice and overcoming laziness, being stuck, being sort of in your habitual routines. So again, we see these big conjunctions. First, Mercury-Venus conjunction in Leo with Mercury retrograding over it. Potential for miscommunication. Mars-Jupiter, fired up about your principles, but also being disciplined and more courageous and strong about what inspires you. Then we have, and this is happening with the sun at the end of Cancer, then we have the sun going into Leo here on the 16th, right? And so, again, that's a big shift. I'll make a video about that shift of the sun into Leo, where, it's no longer in Cancer. It moves into Leo, this where the sun is the king, right? And the sun is also getting very close to that eclipse point when he does that, right? He's getting closer and closer to this eclipse in Virgo. And I'm going to be talking about this encroaching, energy, because this is a big part of what I was talking about, even with the eclipse cycle that happened in April and all the big shifts since then. I'm going to do a kind of, update on this eclipse cycle. So, but the sun getting closer to the eclipse cycle, is significant, but also going into Leo, where the king is on the throne, right? And we'll feel this sense of empowerment, especially around these things that I just mentioned, the Sun-Mercury conjunction and whatnot. But also, again, this Sun-Mercury conjunction, as is pointed out here on the 18th, means that the retrograde Mercury passes the sun on the 18th. Now, again, the Mercury is at the closest point to the Earth at that time. So again, one thing to understand is when planets are retrograde, they have a very strong source of strength in Vedic astrology because they're closer to the Earth at that time. So even Mercury is retrograde in Leo, it just means that we're trying to get that story straight, trying to get clear. Again, he's joined the sun here on August 18th, but it's also where we can really, again, be focusing on that story internally, getting clear, and being empowered by a sort of internal clarity and movement. Mercury is that voice in your head and what it really means, whether you're interpreting things correctly or whether you're just recycling old stories. So again, there's a lot of purification that's coming up now in August, with, first of all, with Mercury going retrograde in Leo, which is where he starts. Then, joining Venus. Again, that can create some weirdness with your relationships and communications. But then again, as he passes the sun in Leo, look for a lot of purification, maybe some frustration, but retrograde planets always support being introspective anyway, because that's what they're doing. They're backing up relative to our life moving forward on Earth. So I'll do a more comprehensive update about this as well. I've done a lot with retrograde planets over the years, but everybody hasn't seen everything I've done, so I'll do another one. Then we have the full moon in Aquarius in Dhanishta Nakshatra on the 19th. So again, this will be about 3-4 degrees of Aquarius. The sun is in Leo and the moon is in Aquarius in Dhanishta Nakshatra. And of course, I'll do a detailed forecast. And as you see, just like I've done here with the last full moon, again, you could see, like I've done here with the last full moon, which happened in Capricorn, that's a member perk at the Lemurian level, at the 999 level, because again, they're different based on your sign. So again, this is happening in Aquarius, this full moon. So that means if you're Sagittarius, it's a full moon in your 3rd house and the sun is in your 9th house. So again, this is why I do these comprehensive updates on the lunation cycles. And that's part of the Lemurian level at the 999 level. And so again, it's very important to understand these cycles. This is how I use Vedic astrology in my life, like day to day, month to month. These are 2-week cycles of time, 2-week portions. We're always within about a 2-week portion of time. based on your ascendant. Again, you might think, oh, it's so complicated. Yes, there's a lot of other complications with all the planets that we're talking about. But you'd be shocked at how much you can learn about your cycles and what's driving you at any given time just by knowing your ascendant, your rising sign, sidereal rising sign, and then calibrating with the new moons and the full moons. This gives a very strong motivation. And these are, again, this is like, 24 to 26 full moon, 2-week cycles throughout the year. Again, it's seen within a larger context, but these are very powerful. So again, if you're an Aries person, whether you know it or not, that full moon is going to be happening in your 11th house, and the sun will be in your 5th house, and it's a major focus of your energy. So again, I really compel people to spend $9.99 and get that. And by the way, you not only get that full moon forecast, but you also get this August 2024 detailed forecast that I'm going to be doing, etc. So again, all of these things are, this is why I have the member site and the opportunities for you to take a deeper dive. Because again, this is how I use astrology. And I've been doing these things, by the way, for about 15 years. I know everybody does it now. Everybody does blah, blah, blah for all 12 signs. Everybody does full moon, new moon forecast. I started doing it literally 2008. So however long that is, I can't even remember anymore. All right. So then we have this Mercury retrograde going back into Cancer, as I mentioned before, right? Again, this is a great calendar, and you want to check out Casey Scott at Gold Star Astrology for the calendar. Again, you can get him on Instagram, send him a message and see his other offerings. But again, this is Mercury now going retrograde back into Cancer. It was in Leo, now it goes back into Cancer starting on the 21st. And of course, understanding the concepts I just mentioned, if you're a Libra, then it had been going retrograde in your 11th house. Now it goes back into the 10th house for, several weeks. So again, at the very least, we can say that instead of being that fiery Leo energy, it's more of a devotional, emotional potential, right? And so Mercury will now be more reflective and more emotional about this story that hopefully we've been figuring out. Then we have Venus going into Virgo on the 24th, August 24th. Now again, Venus in the debilitated sign. It's also going to be joined to Ketu, the South Node. Again, as we say here, or as you could see, again, Venus will be moving from here. I say he, she, Shukra is the male, but Venus is a female energy, will be going into Virgo and joining Ketu, the South Node, at that time on August 24th. So it's debilitated in Virgo because it's where we become very particular. Again, Venus is exalted in Pisces because it's where everything is beautiful. We find everything beautiful, and all of our conditions for being happy dissolve. Happiness is Venus, and in Virgo, there's a lot of conditions. Well, if this happens, this happens, this happens, then I'll be happy. And here's all the reasons why I'm not happy. Here's all the things, all the mistakes I remember. Again, there's nothing wrong with remembering mistakes or getting details, but with Venus, it just tends to make it unpleasant and can make everything in the world seem unpleasant and unhappy. But it's very powerful in allowing us to beautify and to elevate the nature of Venus and of our happiness and of our desires and things like that. So then Mars goes into Gemini on the 26th. And then, as it says here, the sign of Cancer is hemmed between malefics until September 4th. And this is because we'll have, again, difficult planets in Gemini and Leo, and that will be hemming. Hemming is when you have the signs surrounded by difficult planets, and this will be Mars in Gemini and the Sun in Leo will be hemming the sign of Cancer. So again, this is a big theme, but in particular, Mars going into Gemini is going to now bring this kind of fighting spirit around ideas and around, again, we can get into arguments. We need to be careful with Mars and Gemini. And by the way, again, the rest of this year and into next year, Mars is either going to be in Gemini or debilitated in Cancer into next year. So this Mars energy is going to be pervasive, starting in at this time on August 26th, either Gemini, where it's really not that strong, where it can be quite contentious and argumentative, or Cancer, where it's in the debilitated sign. So that starts here on August 26th. And again, any planets in Cancer, let's say in your natal chart, if you have planets in Cancer, that sign of Cancer is hemmed with Mars in Gemini and the Sun in Leo. So it's going to show this environment of stress. It's not necessarily bad because the Sun, particularly in Leo, is trying to be pure, is trying to purify, but it still is going to present a challenge. These are two challenging planets that are trying to bring us into alignment and the willingness to fight for what we believe in. And then Mercury ends his retrograde cycle on August 28th, and it's in the sign of Cancer now here, as you see. It's in the sign of Cancer. And again, we can infer by this that he starts to move forward, and then he goes into Leo on September 4th, breaking the what's called Papakartara Yoga, or the hemming. But so Mercury ends the retrograde here on the 28th, and it's in the sign of Cancer. So again, this means a Mercury stationary direct is what it's called. So again, this week, the 26th, and then through like the 30th or so, we'll be kind of stuck in this kind of Mercury stationary direct, where we've been through the retrograde. Now we feel like we've got the lesson. We've hopefully clarified some of the story, but we're still kind of stuck in it. And particularly in this case, kind of stuck in the emotions of moving forward and whatnot. So again, this is the August 2024 forecast. In a general sense, I'm going to be doing, again, the detailed August 2024 forecast. And again, I'll be doing this tomorrow, July 31st at 11 a.m. And then I'll be doing a new moon in Cancer in a couple days, because that's happening on the 4th, like we said. But again, tomorrow on August 31st, I'll be doing, again, this deep dive. It means I go through every single day, and I basically track the moon, and I track these things that I did in a general sense. It's more of an organic. It's usually about an hour. Let's see, how long was this one? Yeah, 40 minutes. So the detailed forecast for July 2024 was 40 minutes. That was the last one. How much was it for the previous one? Oops, on June 24, 45 minutes. So yeah, they're usually 45 minutes, 45 minutes. So again, that gives me, each day I'll go and I'll just be obviously more elaborate and integrative, right? But again, a few other things I really recommend people, and a lot of people do wind up getting, most people have the Oracle 5D star level, because I also give these powerful planets, or these powerful classes, outer planets in Vedic astrology class. This was part of my course on mundane events. Those of you know, I don't talk about Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto when I do natal chart reading, because they're really not part of that. And they're not part of that matrix, because that's part of our visible karma. But there is a way to use outer planets in Vedic astrology, particularly for mundane events, or, like things have to do with politics and with our world and things that are happening. And we see it now, especially with for example, like the recent, attempted assassination, for example, the recent, shift with Kamala Harris, also with the shifts in Europe and the UK, happened right as the planet Uranus went into Taurus. It had been in Aries since middle of 2016, ding, 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 and it just moved. So I'm about to do an update on that. But again, this is a class that's part of the Oracle 5D level, which includes these other updates. So again, just letting people know about that as well, because again, this is important stuff. And the member site's very, very popular with all those updates that you get, again, which also includes, as you see, each week, as you see this week, the Vedic week ahead, July 29th through August 4th, every day with the Vedic Panchanga. That's about a 20-minute video. And then the regular member week ahead, as you see, that's about, 10 to 15 minutes where I go through each day, comprehensive. So not that much money, people ask me all the time, what do you suggest I do if I want to stay up to date and blah, blah, blah? Well, what I suggest is what I just showed you. So aside from that, make sure to visit, Casey Scott Gold Star Astrology for this wonderful calendar. And I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel.